performances. Palmatoro, the CS is always off the charts, and we're into the draft for match one in this best of three. Team Secret takes away the Blackfeather, Kroll comes off the board, and they immediately follow up with Mowgli on an Adagio.
I just got this push comp like relapse going in my head right now. And Tsunami does know this. They know that they have to grab a composition that is able to actually deny them out of this or make plays against it.
Well, there won't be a Finn for Mowgli. Of course, Adagio can be the jungler or the roamer, and Finn's off the board.
I think we'll be expecting a not Mowgli pickup, an Arden pickup there for Mowgli. I think he's a bit more comfortable on the Arden compared to that Catherine. So there's the Arden pick coming up, and I think we can go for a Cruel.
And of course, Snow Tsunami is the only team here that has a player who is playing remotely. A last-second immigration issue. We didn't want to break up this amazing team, so PT Lamb is playing remotely. Every second is being videotaped and watched live by a referee, so there will be no concerns there as to fairness. And Rome, what are you seeing develop?
Well, right here, this is the perfect scenario for that Vox, but they do pull out with that Kestrel. And there's something that's going to be very fascinating to watch is how Cavalifar will be playing this Kestrel up in lane.
All right, the Kestrel comes out. That is very interesting. We're waiting to see how this is rounded out. And this is this not our first Kestrel?
This is our first Kestrel.
This is our first Kestrel. We've been waiting to see if we would see a Kestrel. Obviously, Europe has had a little bit more time to look at the 115 Kestrel. Would you expect to, I guess in this situation, you're going to see a weapon Kestrel, even though I think there's very interesting potential for a Crystal Kestrel as well in this tournament?
Yeah, and honestly, like I have been playing a lot of Kestrel and playing Crystal-wise recently, and to be honest, like that damage coming out of her in terms of the area effect, it is very overwhelming, but she does have that tendency to actually die in that mid game if you're not able to snowball very early.
Someone worked out of the draft. Obviously, they'll just recreate that quickly, and then we'll get it over to the casters to finish the setup. But now, seeing what you're seeing, what do you think this portends for the match?
I really like it. So Kestrel is quite a squishy character. If you get onto her, she's going to die very easily. But when you've got when you've got players such as Palmatoro and Mowgli kind of just protecting you, I don't think they're going to get a chance to get a Kestrel. And I think this is going to work amazingly well on Cavalifar.
Okay, would you agree?
To be honest, like looking at the last pick of Snow Tsunami, they still haven't locked one up yet. I think in this scenario, grabbing like a Crystal Jewel would work really well for them. They do have that Ringo in that early game that's able to really push Kestrel out, as long as he's able to maneuver himself in dodging the skill shots. And then later on, if you do get that CP Jewel, you can just big red button from very far away and just annihilate the entire team. Hopefully they cannot listen to this.
Well, I think you give yourself a lot of credit thinking they're going to change their mind at this late stage as a result. But, regardless, 115, it's interesting now that, Kestrel, the traps are a much more important part of that kit. It's going to definitely be something to watch for in this match. Can the Kestrel use active camo, set up situations where can get a stun up and capitalize on that? It's going to be very critical for this Team Secret squad, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and just to play around Kestrel, just utilizing her full kit to your benefits. You do have that great escape in terms of just laying down that camo and just maneuvering yourself out to get that stun off. But they do have like a buff composition coming out of this, and they have to make the most use out of it.
Yeah, and we've really only seen so far, Scarf poking away. Now we're going to see a Kestrel poke away. The timing, waiting for that reload is going to be so critical for Snow Tsunami. And I believe we are just wrapping things up now. It is
Petal.
All right, we'll see. We'll see if Rome is right. I always love it when he's wrong, but it doesn't happen as often as I would like, and it's a glaive. So there. It's a glaive, and I would rather, if you don't mind, hear from Action Jackson and Vedius on this glaive, because clearly you don't know what you're talking about. Casters, please.
Thank you for that playoff, Beard. We appreciate your vote of confidence. I don't know. I think Rome might be a little bit better qualified than at least me.
No, that's why we're here. People trust our analysis clearly significantly more than they trust Rome. So anyway, Kestrel versus Finn, Ringo, and the Glaive. That's going to be interesting.
It is going to be interesting. I'm very curious to see how the Kestrel works. It's not something we've seen at all, basically, the entire second qualifiers moving into this tournament. So, strange pick coming through, but they did say they had something up their sleeve. This might be it. Guys, we're onto the fold for our first game between previous champions Team Secret and Snow Tsunami. This is a bit of a grudge match.
So this was planned from Team Secret. Not specifically to run in against Tsunami, but they had Kestrel in their back pocket. And the thing is, for them, they wanted to bring it out sort of as soon as possible because they want to make as many threats as possible throughout their from a team. Because when you think of Team Secret, you think, oh, we cannot give Palmatoro Kroll. Oh, we cannot give Kvalifar Saw. Oh, we cannot give Kvalifar Ringo. And they want to introduce Kestrel and be like, now you can't afford to give us Kestrel either. So they want to have as many threats as possible and make the draft as difficult as possible for teams in the future. So they're not afraid to bring out these innovative picks. And I'm really looking forward to see how they play around this weapon power Kestrel. It's going to be very much the buff comp, which we've seen so much throughout the world right now because of how strong Adagio is. But Kestrel is a very unique pick, and it will be that weapon power Kestrel.
All right, so talk us through a little bit about how it's going to operate here. We haven't seen weapon power Kestrel or Kestrel at all much recently, but we did used to see it, and it used to be fairly strong. So what made Kestrel strong?
So the glimmer shots naturally are very powerful. You can spam 4 out pretty much very quickly, and they do scale with both crystal power and weapon power. The actual shot itself scales with weapon power, and the reason she fell off was because that did take quite a hard hit, and crystal power got quite a large nerf, but it's the splash damage from that glimmer shot that actually scales with crystal. The Sasiska actually takes quite a lot of damage.
Wow, look at Palmatoro just chunking through him right now. He's going to get caught out here, though. Afterburn from Look-at-Me pushes him back into the team, but now I've got Mowgli looking towards Sasiska. I think that's going to encourage Snow Tsunami just to back away for now. And at the moment, neither team picking up a kill early on here.
No, but they took advantage of the fact that Sasiska was only level 1 to Palmatoro's level 3 and were able to get a lot of damage down with the very early crystal pits that Palmatoro was able to pick up. So good use of the aggression from Team Secret. And it was also a very nice rotation coming out from Snow Tsunami. PT Lamb not afraid to make that movement from the lane down into the jungle. But speaking of PT Lamb,
yeah, he is in a very tough situation right now. Is able to get back towards his turret, thankfully. But you can see Team Secret really piling on the aggression here in the early game.
Yeah, you can see Look-at-Me in your bottom right-hand corner right now, sitting very relaxed. One of the advantages of Vainglory is you can play in a manner that is always comfortable for you. I like the fact that he's just sitting there, legs crossed, with the iPad on his lap, like, yeah, I'm chill.
It was a smart decision to put him on camera because he does want people to look at him. So
yes, he does. He literally wants people to look at me. So that's always a great advantage. Did you know that they're actually called Team Snow because there's snow in Russia?
I like the straightforward aspect of that. It's like, you know, I very much subscribe to the same idea with names. I'm Action Jackson because I call the action.
Yeah. Whereas I'm Vedius, and let's not go into a conversation where that came from. So right now, both teams rotating up into the lane, potentially looking to set something up onto PT Lamb.
Yeah, I mean, they might be able to find it, but Palmatoro has given himself away just a little bit. He's done some good damage, but PT Lamb is able to back away underneath of his turret. He's safe for now. Team Secret really focusing most of their attention in the lane for now. Not going for too many aggressive plays in the jungle. I think that's smart. I think the Finn, along with that Glaive, can win the 2 versus 2s.
Oh, look at the damage coming out from Kestrel in the early game. Currently sitting on 1,400 gold. Wouldn't be surprised to see a very early Sorrow Blade coming out from Kvalifar, seeing as they're building around her. I wouldn't expect something like the Tension Bow, which is very early game focuses. Look-at-Me is coming in.
Oh, Kvalifar does get knocked into him with that Afterburn, and PT Lamb picks himself up the first blood. Very nice job by Snow Tsunami there to put the pressure back as soon as Team Secret decide to leave. I mean, they were sitting with 3 people up in the lane for a long time. As soon as they disappeared, that's when Snow Tsunami struck. So very well played by these guys.
Also think that it was a bit of disrespect coming out from Kvalifar. He saw Look-at-Me walking straight towards him, yet he thought that he could get out of range of the Afterburn in time. That wasn't the case. Look-at-Me set up the stun, and then with PT Lamb using that Twirling Silver was able to guarantee himself the kill. So Snow Tsunami currently getting this first blood in this grudge match between these two teams.
Sasiska has already picked up a Tension Bow just under 5 minutes in. He's going to be dealing a tremendous amount of damage in this next engagement.
Yes, he is going to be swinging down the axe and chunking them out pretty damn hard. Already level 6, so he does have that burst available from his ultimate. As Sasiska actually only level 3 as well, but sitting on a huge amount of health. Impact 115, the base health of Finn had quite the buff, and it's gone up by something like 80 or 90 base health, so at level 1 he's sitting at 900 health. So he doesn't even need that many items to be a real tanky frontline.
Yeah, and that's great in this early game too, because Palmatoro, for example, in the early game does so much damage, but it's going to be hard for him to find kills on, Sasiska as it currently stands. Typically, you see roamers be targeted quite frequently in these early exchanges because they haven't built the defensive items that they will get later on. Wow, look at those glimmer shots though, dealing some big damage onto PT Lamb. He's a bit squishier than the two burly dudes that are paired up with him.
Certainly is, and he is going to be the primary focus for Team Secret as the game progresses. Seeing as he's going for that Crystal Power build, he's all about that burst. Keep an eye on that Hellfire Brew and the burn that comes off the back of it, because it really hurts. And speaking of hurt,
Kvalifar, every single time he lands a glimmer shot, you can just see the fear in PT Lamb's eyes. He's like, I need to leave now, because they are chunking him out in a big way. Kvalifar has got quite a lot of damage built already, and I imagine, like you said earlier, he will be working towards that Sorrow Blade, which just means those glimmer shots are going to chunk in a big way. Honestly, I'd like to see Team Secret start spending a little bit more time on jungle fights, because the thing is, in lane, because he's weapon power, it's the initial shot, not the penetrative part of it, that actually deals good damage. And in lane, the minions can block that fairly easily. So fighting in the jungle makes it way easier for Kvalifar to hit the big damage.
but he needs to get those big item pickups before they really start forcing those fights, because they are playing this buff composition. So Palmatoro likely working towards the Shatterglass to get a large amount of crystal power so that he can just provide a substantial buff over to Kvalifar. And Kvalifar really needs that second item. I expect something like the Tyrant's Monocle, but we have been seeing an increase in Tornado Trigger, so we'll have to keep an eye out on what Kvalifar decides to go for as Team Secret start off the gold mine.
I like this play by Team Secret. They are kind of forcing Snow Tsunami, if they want to fight, to do it in the jungle where Kvalifar is most effective. He just hit the one-item power spike of the Sorrow Blade, and as a result, Snow Tsunami don't even contest that. They realize it would be a little bit too risky.
Really like these early reflex blocks coming out from Team Secret as well, because they know that the burn damage from PT Lamb's ultimate is going to be a large part of his damage, and as long as you can reflex block that, then the extra burn won't come off the back of that. So you'll just take the initial brunt of the burst from that Hellfire Brew, but then you will remove that following up burn damage. So I do like this, and it's a nice reaction to this Crystal Power Ringo that we're seeing.
Yeah, and it's interesting that we are seeing the Crystal Power Ringo obviously pairs nicely with the Weapon Power Glaive, but we haven't seen Crystal Power Ringos be that successful yet.
Oh, wow.
Oh, look at the damage on Kvalifar. Look at me, easily picks that one up.
Using that early game tension bow to its advantage. Kestrel doesn't have that much mobility, and if you get hit, you can't pop that active camo. So the glaive pick is actually a great pick into preventing you from using that active camo, and pretty much your only escape on that Kestrel. So I do, thinking about it a little more, really do like this glaive pick coming out from Snow Tsunami.
It is great for getting onto the key target. Now, it's also great for isolating a target against any buff comp, right? Whether that is a Kestrel or someone else, being able to afterburn the target into range of your damage dealers is important when they're really the only big threat on the opponent's team. This is one of the downsides of running a composition like the one that Team Secret are going with. But we might see this time he is able to get that active camo off. Now still got to be careful to look at the damage coming through. There's a gauntlet out of Mowgli, but it's way too late to actually stop PT Lamb from picking up that kill. And another one goes away of Snow Tsunami. They're sitting at 3-0 right now.
So as you said, Kvalifar able to get the active camo down as well as the reflex block, but it doesn't matter because he was in a position that allowed Snow Tsunami to put all of their target focus down onto him, and it was so easy to shut him down. So one shot, one kill does come out low.
Does quite a lot of damage onto PT Lamb, who is burning away from that fire out of Palmatoro, but it's not going to be enough to pick up the kill. However, they defend the turret, obviously a good thing for Team Secret. They got to be careful about losing Kvalifar anymore, though, because we're starting to see it have an impact on objectives.
Certainly are. Team Secret, speaking of objectives, are going to take away these back counts, which is going to be massive for them in this early game. Palmatoro currently sitting at 61 farm to the 49 of Look At Me, as, Kvalifar gets stunned up again.
Man, every single time Look At Me comes to this lane, he's picking up a kill for Snow Tsunami. Very heads-up play from these guys. Team Secret, on the other hand, Kvalifar needs to be more careful. He has to stay back back further.
Now he's taking advantage of the bounty system, mate. He's just falling behind now so that when he gets a kill later on, he's going to get a big chunk of gold. It's all part of the plan, all part of Team Secret's plan.
That is how I like to play, gotta be honest.
I'm fully aware of that's how you like to play. Look at me though, currently sitting at level 10, has been spotted out by that flare, and he is looking like one scary glaive right now.
Yeah, he is in position to get some nice forced chords down, potentially moving forwards. That time it was reflex blocked by Palmatoro, so very nice play by him. But, you know, we're already seeing Kvalifar being caught out just by virtue of positioning in lane. Moving forwards, Sasiska has the ability to catch him out pretty much regardless of where he is, or at the very least force the reflex block, allowing PT Lamb to get the big Hellfire Brew down. So Team Secret, they need to have good vision to deal with this. It's super important.
Yeah, but we've seen from Mowgli the different places you can set up those reflex blocks, and if you just look at Sasiska now, he is looking for an opportunity to potentially get one. But Team Secret, they are pretty quick on the trigger when it comes to popping those reflex blocks, as the gold mine now gets kicked off for Team Secret once again.
It is, but I think we might see Snow Tsunami just trade a turret for this. It wouldn't be a bad exchange. The gold mine has 255 gold on it, whereas picking up a turret is substantially more. So Team Secret, you know, they did something good there in the sense that maybe they knew they'd lose a turret, and by virtue of that, Tsunami could pivot and go for the gold mine later on. Taking it away early makes sense, but map pressure definitely going the way of Tsunami.
Certainly is. Snow Tsunami doing a good job of keeping up with Team Secret so far. Well, you know, we have to remember that Snow Tsunami came into this tournament with the intention of fighting Team Secret. This was the team they wanted to play against because they want vengeance for the first VGL Winter Qualifier where they met in the finals, and Team Secret pretty much demolished them. It was a very clean 3-0. Team Secret didn't even look back at Snow Tsunami, and Snow Tsunami got pretty hurt after that.
Oh, absolutely, and you can appreciate that they want to come back and make things happen. Kvalifar, I want to talk about Team Secret again for a second, though, because we're seeing 0-4-0 as the scoreline for the Kestrel pick. Sometimes being innovative just doesn't work out, and this looks like it might be one of those times.
You're saying that to Team Secret, really?
Yeah,
the innovators of the Soul Push comp?
They did innovate that composition, they did extremely well with it, but we've also saw the hubris of that kind of bite them in the butt during the qualifiers up against SK. You can't rely on one thing too much, and that's part of the reason why Team Secret have decided to branch out a little bit and try and pick up some additional compositions. But I'm not entirely convinced this one is going to be successful.
Well, you have to remember that this composition is very much about the late game, and when you have a glaive that's gone for this very early tension bow, and the fact that PT now has picked up this Shatter Glass, this is around the time that Snow Tsunami need to be forcing these fights, because things are only going to get better and better as Kvalifar gets dragged in.
He finds a reflex block, but it's just a little bit too late. There's a stun from the active camo onto Sasiska, but look at the damage onto Kvalifar. He is in a very tough spot right now, trying to get those arrows down onto PT Lamb, but it's not going to be enough. Sasiska, he's low, but Mowgli does not have the damage to pick this one up easily. He goes down to PT Lamb. Look at me diving very deep onto the back line, trying to get Palmatoro. Can't find the kill, but it's still 2-0 for Snow Tsunami. They're in a great position off the back of that fight.
So Snow Tsunami using that Forced Accord to catch Kvalifar out of position up in the lane, and Palmatoro was nowhere near to provide the support and the buffs that Adagio is pretty much fundamental for in this composition, and it's just a big misplay, big positional misplay from Team Secret, which is really what we're not used to seeing from them. The big praises about Team Secret is their mechanics and their teamwork and their synergy. And so far, it's been very much about Kvalifar getting caught out of position, giving Snow Tsunami the early advantage in terms of kills, but Team Secret is still being relevant in the gold department. If you just have a look at the farm, currently sitting on Kvalifar, 135 at 14 minutes, even with 5 deaths.
Gold was actually dead even until Team Secret picked that turret up, and this is something we're relatively familiar with seeing from them, actually. Even when they do fall behind in kills, they are able to keep the gold race close. Having found that turret, they now have equal map pressure, with one being taken away by each of these teams, and you can see we might have a fight developing in the jungle right now. Both teams heading to the shop, picking up some items. We got Aegises from both sides. Could be useful in this next fight, but for now, Team Secret just going to be backing away. They know that with the fact that they've been losing so many of these fights in a row, they have to be careful about which ones they pick.
It's going to get tough for them because now you have two big, beefy frontliners on Snow Tsunami that Team Secret have to get through if they really want to focus PT Lamb, as Mowgli is taking a chunk of damage.
Yeah, but look at this. Coming through with the burst. He gets knocked into PT Lamb there. Can he find the kill? Look at the damage. Look at the heals coming through. Both of those carries lasted so much longer than I thought they would. Palmatoro, he's going to be trying to kite out of this one, but I don't see it going too well for him. Doesn't have another heal available. Look at me, is able to pick up that kill along with Sasuke. It's a 2-for-1 trade. Snow Tsunami coming out ahead, even with PT Lamb getting the jump on Snow Tsunami there.
Well, you have to remember that Snow Tsunami did spot out Team Secret with the flare, but it was just a little bit too late. And because of the ultimate channel and the range from PT Lamb, he actually put himself in a bit of a compromising position to actually use that ultimate. So because of that, he got focused down by Kvalifar. Both the carries were sitting right next to each other, beating down onto one another, and they were both able to kill each other, but then you have this ridiculously tanky front line that Palmatoro just wasn't able to break through, which resulted in Snow Tsunami once again succeeding in another team fight.
All right, so Snow Tsunami, they've now picked up both of the minion miners. We're going to see an answer back from Team Secret on theirs, but this isn't indicative of how Snow Tsunami feels right now. They are trying to snowball this game a little bit more. Palmatoro might be caught out here. The hook only going to land onto Mowgli, but look at the damage from PT Lamb. None of the damage dealers from Team Secret really in position to do what they need to. Hellfire Brew decimates Kvalifar and Palmatoro. Look at me, jumps forward with that afterburn, picks up the kill after the burn from Hellfire Brew actually ends. Snow Tsunami, that fight did not look close. I mean, Team Secret, their positioning is not on point right now.
Well, you can see the focus from Kvalifar was put down onto Look At Me, and he was actually taking a lot of damage, but PT Lamb is at the point where he is now the massive threat. He has gone full damage with the Shatter Glass, with the Broken Myth, and if you just allow him to get that channeled ultimate off onto your carries, there is no way they're going to survive. And you saw there the amount of damage that the burn did from that ultimate pretty much guaranteed them the teamfight victory, and this is why it's super important to reflex block that ultimate.
Oh, absolutely. If you don't reflex block it, you are going to get annihilated. We saw that right there. Right now, it's 9 kills to 1 with Snow Tsunami taking a substantial lead in that department. They're actually behind in gold, but they've got the Kraken. If they can find any turrets here, they will turn this one around. So, although it looks close, I'm not entirely convinced that it is. Kvalifar trying to put down some damage, but he gets hooked in yet again. Another forced accord. This time he's going to be knocked in by Look At Me as well. With the only real damage dealer on Team Secret down, this push could be devastating coming out of Snow Tsunami.
It's funny because this is exactly how Mowgli plays Finn as well. Whenever they're trying to set up a siege, he'll be looking for that forced accord. He's looking for that carry to just be slightly out of position so that he can just get dragged into the rest of his team. And Kvalifar falling for what his teammate is so well known for.
There's a polite company dragging Mowgli in just a little bit. Kraken still above half health as Snow Tsunami tries to push onto this base. The gauntlet goes down. Mowgli and Palmatoro jumping and trying to get onto the back line. But PT Land manages to get the Hellfire Brew off. He finds Palmatoro. He's going to get the kill. One shot, one kill. Doesn't actually go out there. And it's only Kvalifar 1 versus 2. I don't know if he's got this. He finds one. He actually does have a lot of damage, but the Kraken still wrecking the base of Team Secret. He's likely to pick up yet another turret here. I don't know if Kvalifar has the damage to take it down in time. Team Secret, they just barely hold on, but Snow Tsunami are so far ahead.
But Snow Tsunami get themselves, I believe, 4 turrets off the back of that, and I believe in the industry that is what we call a TSM special. So Snow Tsunami doing a great job of utilizing that Kraken, and it all comes back off that initial pick that came out from Sasiska with that forced accord onto Kvalifar. And the only reason Team Secret were able to win out in that fight at the very end was because this was the first time Kvalifar wasn't focused down. He was free to just get so much damage down onto the backline. He could concentrate his efforts onto PT Lamb, then turn his attention onto Look At Me, and then clean up the fight by focusing down onto Sasiska. And Kvalifar, if he is able to just freely do damage on the backline, then he is fine. But at the moment, there's just no real way to properly protect him against all of this engage that is available on Snow Tsunami.
Yeah, I mean, Palmatoro was the focus there for Snow Tsunami, but even if they had focused down Kvalifar, I think it would have been too late. They had low health bars. Mowgli and Palmatoro did actually a very nice job at the beginning of that fight. So Snow Tsunami, I think they just took a calculated trade where they lost their lives but took so many turrets. Gold is dead even right now, but Team Secret, they haven't won a fight in such a long time. It's basically all about the farm numbers. It's basically all about that kind of gold for Team Secret. They are going to invade here, take away the minion mine. I like that. It does relieve pressure from them somewhat, just for a little while. But Snow Tsunami have kind of looked unstoppable to me.
Whoa, there's absolutely no vision around this Kraken. It's just spawned. Team Secret could potentially pick this one up. No, they've decided that it's too risky. They don't want to go for the gamble, and they're just going to go for the defend.
Look at how many infusions just got picked up from these guys. Everyone bought one, basically. So the next fight is going to be, I think, very defining of who can take this game away. Look at me right off the bat, jumping in onto Mowgli. One shot, one kill does some nice damage, but it's not going to be enough. And now Sasuke hooks in Mowgli for the final kill. Kvalifar is not being focused, but I don't think it matters. He is the last man standing, 1 versus 3. Polite Company keeps him in there. Look at me and Sasuke trying to get on top of him. Kvalifar very, very low, is able to kite backwards here.
Oh,
he
no
might be able to
way.
pull this one off. Team Secret staying in this game by the skin of their teeth. That was ridiculous, Vedius.
Kvalifar, if he is not focused down, is able to 1 versus 3. That was unbelievable. We are finally seeing the power of this weapon power Koshka? Kestrel. And it was ridiculous. That was, you've got double ace from either side. And I think this is the first time we've ever seen a double ace in competitive Vainglory.
Certainly that I can remember.
In Europe, at the very least. I mean, wow, absolutely crazy stuff. And
the minions are empowered because of
I know,
right? On both sides.
Unbelievable.
Look at the graveyard by the Kraken. I'm kind of hungry, but that's just too far away.
Yeah, the Kraken actually got involved in that fight, and
little bit, yeah.
to a degree was a part of why Kvalifar was able to turn that fight around in his favor, but being able to get that 1 versus 3 at the very end because he wasn't the target focus is a big thing for Team Secret. He's gone from being 1 and 8 to 7 and 9. So he has had a massive gold swing come into his pocket.
It is a drastic change, and looking at his items, he actually has quite a lot at this point. Sarblade, Tyrant's Monocle, and Tornado Trigger, but here comes maybe a fight. Two people get hooked in by that forced accord. Kvalifar this time is able to be focused down by Snow Tsunami. They find that kill. Palmatoro trying to kite around here. Kraken doing a little bit of work on the back line, and Mowgli gonna go down as well. It's a clean ace for Snow Tsunami with no turrets left on the Vein Crystal. I don't see Team Secret getting off easily this time. Snow Tsunami, they're going to pick up game 1.
They certainly are, and what a way to do it. Shutting down this innovative comp that has come out from Team Secret. Things were looking a little bit shaky, but Snow Tsunami realized what they needed to do in the final team fight. They focused down Kvalifar, and they're going to be taking this first win in this best-of-3 series.
And a bit of an upset. You know, Team Secret, everyone's been talking about them being the final boss, being the juggernaut, but this time around, Snow Tsunami is able to come out and take the win in the grudge match between the two teams. Team Secret must be sweating a little bit after that one, moving forward in game 2.
But I think the most important thing to note here is the fact that Rome was wrong. And, and he predicted that game 1 would go over to Team Secret, but Snow Tsunami, upsetting Rome's prediction, are going to be taking game 1, and now it's down to Team Secret to find the comeback.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Playoff Beard put his trust in us for good reason.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, you should do that more. We should be on the analyst desk.
We should be on.
In any case, very impressive and convincing performance from Snow Tsunami. They had a big kill lead, only 1 or 2 patchy moments where it could have turned around for Team Secret. But to break down that game a little bit more, we're going to be passing back to our analyst desk. Playoff Beard, take it away.
I am so upset at Vedius right now because he just stole my line. Like, I already worked this whole thing out with Xingyi. She was going to deadpan back when I said that Rome was wrong. Fine, all right, well, then we'll just move on here. So let's have a try-hard question for the person who was wrong. So on Team Secret's side, these players individually are just superior mechanically. They're unbelievably good players. And when we see them play traditional comps, they defeat their opponents consistently. Do they need to be doing kind of strange and unusual things that can have mixed results as opposed to just playing heads up and beating people because they think they're better?
I feel that they actually had a lot of time to practice out this composition, especially around that Kestrel. And although Kvalifar played very well, this is something that Snow Tsunami has been outstanding at, is their drafting phase. And this is the reason that I actually picked them to win. And you know, like, there's no secret. It's snowing in London.
What? What? You're trying to deliver a joke, but you're laughing before the punchline.
Yeah.
We didn't even get the punchline.
Just to get back at those guys over there.
All right. Snowing. Was that the line? It's snowing in London?
Snowing in London.
You've been working on that one?
For the last 5 minutes.
Okay, so as we look at the items here, we've seen a lot of Crystal Ringo.
And I think Crystal Ringo worked really well. You know, the Hellfire Brew, when he landed it on Team Secret, was doing a hell of a lot of damage there.
All right, and the blocks, so trying to hit those fin hooks on Team Secret, known for those fin hooks. Early on, Palmitaro was on point, blocking that. It seemed like more and more of those hooks were landing, especially on Kvalifar. It was causing a lot of trouble for TS.
Yeah, actually, Sasiska did an excellent job on that fin, and he made sure that regardless, he didn't always prioritize just hooking as many people as he can. Instead, they actually tried to take somebody out of that picture first. But it was that one team fight where Kvalifar actually came back and took all three of them down. It was because they prioritized, and this was when Ringo actually used his ultimate on that Arden.
Yeah, so let's quickly go down to what can you say? To Rick, the Pocket Gamer Report.
Thanks very much. Well done. I just want to point out as well, if you're sat in that box, you seem to lose your first round, so maybe that's part of the problem here. But talking to Team Secret just now, they said that it wasn't the draft that they wanted to get originally. They're playing tactics they don't know, so going into the next match, they're going to be trying out tactics that they know that are going to work for them. So thanks very much. Back to you at the desk.
Rick did that so much better than I did. I blame all this on Vedius. He threw the whole segment off, but that is pretty much what they do. So now, Rome, looking at the second match here, how does Team Secret approach this draft?
To be honest, they have to grab a composition that they're very well comfortable with. They are going up against Tsunami, a team that's both strong mechanically and especially during their drafting phase. And we know Team Secret, individually and together, they are excellent in terms of synergy, in terms of those individual mechanical skills. But going up against them, you do know there's a certain couple compositions that they are very well known for. And for sure, these guys have been practicing against it. Having lost their first match, they're going up against Tsunami right now. They have to be sure that they grab something that they're very comfortable with and they're very comfortable executing.
All right, so with that, Xingyi, we know that this is a winner's bracket game. They'll drop down into the elimination bracket, and they will face G2 Kinguin 2, who have that tremendous comeback on the verge of defeat. If you're G2 Kinguin 2 right now, what notes have you been jotting down from watching these two teams play?
Well, if they're going to be against Team Secret, and they're going to try and do that cat comp again, I would try and do something similar to what Tsunami did, which was outdraft. You know, they had the Glaive, the Finn, which were excellent repositioning heroes. If I was going to be against Snow here, it'd be a bit more difficult. You know they've got that Cruel, but you also know they're willing to take these risks. It's very difficult to anticipate what they're going to be doing. Okay, so we're getting ready. We're about a minute out from the draft of this second game. It is a best of three. The Autumn Champions, Team Secret, against the number 4 seed, Snow Tsunami, who looked so good yesterday. As we see the camera go by, PT Lamb, the only player playing off-site with a referee observing. Look at me. He always likes it when we look at him. Waiting right now. We're getting ready for this draft, and it's going to be interesting to see how this goes down.
Yeah, and looking back, what I said earlier, and it was #Rome is right. I do feel that Snow Tsunami is going to come out of this winning the series, but it doesn't mean that Team Secret is out of it yet. So those predictions I'll save for later on, and let's specifically try and focus on this match right now as we go into the draft.
Wow, excellent. You don't need me anymore. I should just get out of here. I'm ruining this whole segment. Rome is making the throws. I am clearly superfluous. And let's have a battle in the chat. #Rome is right or #Rome is wrong on whether or not Team Snow Tsunami will pull out this pivotal match here. They want to eliminate Team Secret before a blind pick. And we see Adagio and Krull coming off the board. No surprises there. So Tsunami starts with a black feather.
I was expecting a Finn pick, but now we're seeing the double Catherine Arden, and this is not something I've ever seen them pull off before. I'm in complete shock.
Rome, is this a Crystal Arden, a Weapon Arden? What's happening?
This actually works really well if they do pick up a Kestrel for their last pick on the Team Secret side. I have a feeling that they're kind of planning around this, especially they do know that Snow Tsunami will be picking up that black feather first.
Okay, it is a very early game comp coming out of Snow Tsunami. We haven't seen Europe really execute the early game quite as well. All right, this time #Rome is right on just the draft. Just the draft, the Kestrel does come out. I'm very, very upset with Vedius, but I have no choice to throw to him now for the action. It's that guy, along with Action Jackson I still like.
I'm glad I'm still on his good side. You're getting a lot of flack right now.
I feel like I'm being unjustly. I'm just trying to bring a bit of comedy to the.
I mean,
cast.
we already brought some comedy to the cast. You know, you're a joke.
Okay, swiftly moving.
That's why your
fast.
Twitter is Vedius Lol, right?
It's like
I killed him.
so. It's going to be Arden in the jungle. And now, we know Tasty Bacon loves Arden in the jungle.
Oh, yeah.
He's convinced he's invented weapon power Arden in the jungle. And I've been telling him for ages, no, it was in EU first. We've literally thought of everything. And he's like, no, I'm pretty sure it is an NA special. And I'm like, nah, mate. Nah, it's here. And you're seeing it once again coming out from Team Secret. It's going to be, it's likely, well, actually, I'm really confused because we've actually got a weapon power Kestrel. And so, they could be playing what we saw earlier. So they're very much building all of the farm, funneling all the farm into Kvalifar, and they run the double roam sort of style of composition. So they're pretty much putting everything onto Kvalifar.
Team Secret definitely have some secret strategies up their sleeves, but can they come back in this series against Snow Tsunami, who are currently leading 1-0? It's going to be a great match as we get onto the fold.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting, that's for sure. Specifically, though, the interesting thing was Team Secret said they want Kestrel into Blackfeather. They said that it's really good because it is so easy to kite out that Blackfeather when you're playing this Kestrel. It is, you can use that, you can pop the active camo, but so basically what happens is Blackfeather tries to get into, hang on, speaking of Kvalifar.
Yeah, he is getting ganked early on here. Very reminiscent of what we saw last game, and the bleed does secure the kill. Sasuke does have to be careful, though. He is going to be jumped on. On point shield, he might save him, not quite going to do it. Look at me. Get some nice return damage, but it's ultimately a 1-for-1.
So this could very well be a Crystal Power on. We'll get to that in a second, because Team Secret doing all kinds of crazy stuff as they usually do. But yeah, this Kestrel is really good into Blackfeather because you use the Rose Offensive to try and close the gap. And the range of the Rose Offensive is the same as the range of the active camo. So you basically, by the time you get to Kvalifar, he's already popped that active camo and he can set up to land the stun on you just as you finish off with your Rose Offensive. So then you can continuously keep the distance and keep Blackfeather at range. So it's so difficult for him to actually get onto the back line. But I wouldn't be surprised if we saw, hang on, why have I been talking about this? And this is a roam Blackfeather. I've been talking for ages about Blackfeather diving onto the back line, and it's roam Blackfeather, it's jungle Crystal Fortress, and it's a weapon power PT Lamb. Both these teams are just determined to say, oh, meta? No, we don't have that here in EU.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting, I gotta be honest. We've seen Roam Blackfeather once or twice. We used to see it actually a decent amount. On point,
we saw it from Snow Tsunami yesterday.
Yeah.
Against their sister team, Snow Avalanche.
So they definitely think that it's something that can work, and I'm inclined to believe that it can. You know, we did see nerfs to the Crystal Power Fortress in the last patch. It was a terror to deal with on 1.14, but you know, just because it was too strong before and now nerfed doesn't mean it's not strong enough, and that's the key thing to realize.
Yeah, it's still very, very strong. You can still do a surprising amount of burst, and the fact that, I mean, you saw it from the bleed damage that they were able to get down to Kvalifar. It can do a lot of damage if you're not prepared for it. But I'm trying to figure out who is going where exactly. What I expect Sasuke to do is build very much towards tank and just get those Heartbreak stacks up as much as possible, and then he'll still do a fair amount of damage as long as he's getting those stacks up. And it's very easy to stick to your target. You have to remember the utility that it provides as well. With the Rose Trail, you get a lot of movement speed off the back of that, and the slow from his on point is very effective. And he gets natural CC break using his Rose Offensive, so it's quite easy to stick to targets as well and basically just be a pest. So wouldn't be surprised to see him go very heavy towards the tank. PT Lamb, unsurprisingly, going to go towards heavy damage with the weapon power, going to be working towards that mid-game spike with the Sorrow Blade combined with potentially the Tornado Trigger or the Tyrant's Monocle. We tend to see quite a variation of the two. And then look at me on this fortress is just going to be looking to do as much damage as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, Sasiska, maybe even getting a Shiver Steel here would also be good after he picks up maybe his first core utility item. Just because Kvalifar sticking to him, it's like you said earlier, the Kestrel does have a decent way of getting out of the aggression from a Black Feather. But if he's going super tanky and his goal is not to kill Kvalifar, but just to stick on him, I actually think he's going to have better odds.
I completely agree with you. When you pair that up with a Fortress who naturally gives you all that bonus movement speed as well, I do think Kvalifar is going to struggle to kite out this composition coming out from Snow Tsunami. So Snow Tsunami, once again, coming out with a very smart draft. I think they've adapted very well to this Kestrel pick, and just great response to this innovation coming out from just both teams. Very innovative, and just I feel like Snow Tsunami has been the ones to better respond to the innovation.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. And if they were able to come out with a win here, that would actually be 2 upsets in a row. It'd be an interesting tournament moving forwards. Obviously, EU is no strangers to upset, with Team Secret being 8th seed in the previous championships and actually coming out ahead. So we'll have to see what happens here. So far, the aggression has been pretty much restricted to that first exchange up in the lane. Neither one of these teams wants to commit too much early on. PT Lamb's struggling a little bit up against Kvalifar, which isn't something Ringos were that used to, I'm sure.
No, he certainly is not. He's actually taking a lot of poke from Kvalifar, and here come the puppies.
Yeah, Attack of the Pack gets popped. They're looking to maybe go for an engagement here. I feel like they might be a little bit too far away from the members of Team Secret to firmly commit to it, though. And you can see Snow Tsunami backing off a little bit. 3 members of Team Secret sitting up in the lane. They know that PT Lamb and shutting him down early on is a good place to focus their attention.
Yeah, right now, both teams just kind of dancing around. As you rightly said, we haven't really seen any symbols of aggression coming out from anyone as of yet. But once we see those level 6 come out from both Kvalifar and PT Lamb, that could be an opportunity for both teams to really start looking for a bit more action.
Look at the burst damage coming through from Kvalifar already. If you allow for those glimmer shots to hit you, you are going to lose a lot of health very quickly. And this is, I'm sure, more what Team Secret were looking to do last game. You know, actually leverage the early game burst damage of that Kestrel. They weren't able to do it, though, and this time, they've been forced back so far that they're going to lose a turret at 6.5 minutes.
They certainly are. Team Secret picking up the first major objective of the game. And as you rightly said, the biggest difference this time round is that Snow Tsunami have not been constantly going up into the lane and punishing Kvalifar's over-aggression, and Mowgli has just been that strong presence to provide a little bit more safety and utility to Kvalifar.
So after getting that turret, there was so much gold on the side of Team Secret that all 3 of them picked up big power spike items. Palmatora got an aftershock, we saw the fountain on Mowgli, and Kvalifar finished his Sorrow Blade. It's easy for them to then rotate to gold mine. There's no way that Snow Tsunami can fight that.
Yeah, it's just very smart rotational play, and this is the Team Secret that we're used to seeing. Very much about the teamwork, very much about playing the map in a very calculated and calm manner, and responding to the plays coming out from Tsunami in an efficient way. So Team Secret looking a little bit more like themselves, and I think that this second game will definitely be a close one.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the Arden build, because we haven't touched on it too much yet.
I've been trying to avoid it.
Palmatora picking up an aftershock. When he jumps in with Blood for Blood, he's going to do a lot of damage right off the bat.
Yeah, he certainly is. You also have to remember that the Vanguard is going to be doing a lot of damage, and I'm curious as to how much damage the Gauntlet's going to do as well. When you have a lot of crystal power, because I believe that it does scale with that crystal power. So when people walk through one of the pillars, the amount of burst potential that it has could be insane. I can't quite remember the ratios on it, so I'm not sure if it's actually that efficient to go full crystal power.
It's like when you're doing your research for casting and you look at the ratios, you're like, well, he's just gonna roam, right? So
yeah, exactly.
I don't need to know this.
And then I've seen weapon power firsthand on the Arden, but crystal power is something very unique to me, something quite innovative, but it's Team Secret. I don't know really what I was expecting. You also have to, his Vanguard will scale very nicely, so we'll be able to provide a lot more utility for Kvalifar, but I really just don't want to underestimate his damages. Oh, here comes the Hellfire Brew.
Does land onto Kvalifar, but it doesn't really deal too much damage. Obviously, weapon power is the build that PT Lamb has gone for this time. One shot, one kill, not going to land. Big damage coming out of Gauntlet, but it's not going to be enough. Palmatora actually getting melted right now by Look at Me. Sasiska and him got to be careful to try and defend this. We've already seen PT Lamb go down. Team Secret in a good position to siege onto the turret. Look at me, jumping forward again, but he immediately gets sniped out there and taken down by Kvalifar. Team Secret looking way more confident in the second game. They're already 3 kills up and about 3,000 gold.
They set Kvalifar up to get the poke down and set up for the siege, and they're able to pick up a quick kill because PT Lamb just stands there as he's channeling that Hellfire Brew. They walk straight into the active camo setup from Kvalifar, and he is just freely able to do so much damage down onto the backline. They don't respect this Crystal Power Palmatoro, and he just does so much damage.
He really does. That was actually kind of surprising how much damage that he did. So Team Secret have managed to make this unorthodox composition work so far. The question is, can they keep up this pressure? Because I think later on, Palmatoro at the very least will begin to fall off.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if that happened. We'll just have to see as the game progresses. Just looking at Team Secret, for them, they just need to keep doing what they're doing right now. Setting up for these tower sieges. The only reliable engage that Snow Tsunami have is with Look At Me, using the puppies, using the movement speed to then just lock down onto the backline. But he is quite squishy. He's gone for the very early Aftershock. He's now picked up the Fountain of Renewal to complement Sasiska's Crucible, but he's still able to just get bursted instantly. He has no solid HP in his lineup, and when you're going up against this Kestrel, who is so strong in the early game with this much weapon power, that engage is likely just to fall apart for Snow Tsunami if they're not able to set up some kind of flank.
We're seeing a build from Look At Me that's very reminiscent of, for example, Kashka, what she used to be building quite a lot, where you get the Aftershock and then a Fountain, and you kind of have a distribution of aggressive and defensive stats. Given that Sasiska has not decided to go for a Fountain, I quite like this. You need one on your team, and the Crucible is going to be important, especially if he can do a Gabe Fizzle and block that Blast Tremor coming out of Mowgli. You see the Hellfire Brew popped onto Kvalifar, but doesn't really do too much. Team Secret, they respect it though, and back away.
So, good reflex block coming out from Kvalifar, held it at just the right moment. The poke now coming out onto Sasiska.
There's a gauntlet going down. Whoa, look at the damage onto Sasiska. That was absolutely immense. He is going to pop the Crucible, try and back away. There's a Fountain as well. You can see Snow Tsunami are being routed at the moment by Team Secret. Look At Me wants to lead the charge onto the front line, but with his carries both so low on the health values, he really can't afford to fight. Team Secret, they're going to put a lot of pressure on this turret. They might even be able to find it. Look At Me locked up, annihilated by Kvalifar. And man, this is a big difference from game one.
It certainly is. Palmatoro just does so much damage, and when you set up for that stun, it allows Kvalifar to just get Glimmer Shot after Glimmer Shot. He weaves in his auto attacks between each Glimmer Shot for the maximum amount of DPS, and they're just playing this composition so much better than they did before. Snow Tsunami have no real answer for this amount of poke that is constantly coming out from Team Secret.
I feel like we needed to see Snow Tsunami do more in the early game. You know, they've got that Ringo, one of the sort of standout heroes that performs well early and falls off a little bit later on. Look At Me as well on that Crystal Power Fortress is going to fall off as we move forward. And of course, Sasiska playing Roam Blackfeather, I mean, once you can get tanky enough to get enough Heartbreak stacks up, sure, you can deal damage, but it's gonna be a while before that happens. So Team Secret, they've just come out of the gates very fast, instantly annihilated Tsunami in a lot of the early exchanges. I feel like Tsunami don't have many ways back into this game.
No, by going for the PT Lamb weapon power build, they needed to build up a little bit more of an early advantage with the Ringo. They wanted to try and force more fights in the earlier game and not give this sort of advantage over to Team Secret, because now Team Secret are really just starting to hit big power spikes significantly before Snow Tsunami are, and Team Secret are just basically taking better advantage of it as they siege onto this turret.
Wow, look at how quickly that turret is going down. Blast Tremor stops the engagement from Snow Tsunami. Very nice usage there by Mowgli. One shot, one kill. Dealing a decent chunk onto Sasiska, and with the next minion wave here, they want to go for the turret. Palmatoro has actually gone a little bit further than maybe his team would like. Gauntlet being used defensively. Kvalifar is able to snipe out Sasiska, and now they can just tank up the turret, find that kill, and back away. Snow Tsunami, that was probably the most pressure they've been able to put on Team Secret, and still wasn't enough.
It's just Team Secret executing this siege perfectly. They use Kvalifar to get a bit of poke down onto the lineup of Snow Tsunami. You saw the one-shot, one-kill chunking out Sasiska and basically forcing him back almost immediately. And then when the engage came out from Look At Me, you just have the immediate ultimate coming out from Mowgli to throw out that 3-second silence, deny any reliable engage coming out from Snow Tsunami, and then you just have Palmatoro in between all this, using his blood for blood to just slowly chunk down the turret. And it's such an effective strategy that Snow Tsunami are really struggling to know how to deal with.
They absolutely are, and at this rate, we're going to be seeing a blind pick game 3. Given the compositions coming out of these guys, I kind of want to, because we're going to see some interesting stuff for sure. We've got another gold mine picked up by Team Secret, right now sitting at 30.8k, a massive advantage over Snow Tsunami, who are actually going to use that Warhorn just to try and escape. They're in such a dicey position at the moment. Team Secret, they've shown up to play. They want to rep the fact that they were the champions of the previous season and defend that title.
They certainly do. Have a look at the mini-map right now. You can see the entire map is controlled by Red, but PT Lamb.
Yeah, that one-shot, one-kill gonna be blocked by, look at me, there's a blast tremor, not actually landing onto the members of Snow Tsunami, but Team Secret, they're not even waiting for the Kraken to spawn. They're going right in for the base. Look at me, trying to jump on the back line, gets stunned up by that active camo. It's very difficult for PT Lamb to get in position to deal the damage. He hits all 3 with the Hellfire Brew, but it's just not enough. Team Secret, 3 members standing right now to the 1 of Snow Tsunami, but they don't have the minion waves to keep the push going. They're gonna back up, they're gonna pick up the Kraken and keep this train rolling.
Kavalafar with some beautiful kiting in that fight, and the gauntlet to zone out PT Lamb from being able to do any consistent damage, while Kavalafar just kites alongside of the wall and makes sure that he stays out of range of PT Lamb was just so well played. They initially focused down Sasiska, they quickly turned their attention to look at me, and it was all about Kavalafar. It was just a fantastic team effort really overall, because everyone was just doing their role so perfectly, it enabled them to get that team fight win. They're gonna get themselves the Kraken. You can see all the infusions being picked up by Team Secret, and they're gonna look to try and end the game right now.
They've certainly got the ammunition to do it. The Kraken on their side, a minion wave beginning to build up as well. Team Secret so powerful at the moment, 7 kills to 1, 10,000 gold in the lead. Snow Tsunami, they had an incredible Game 1 performance, I think surprising a lot of people, but Team Secret have bounced back. This push could be the one to end them for Game 2. Snow Tsunami just trying desperately to wave clear.
Well, here we go. This is going to be the deciding factor between this two teams. Attack of the Pack comes out.
Yeah, they're trying to get right onto Kavalafar here. He's taking a lot of damage. He might actually go down. It's a trade 1-for-1. PT Lamb's still alive, though. Dealing damage, kiting backwards onto Palmatoro, but it's not going to be enough. He goes down. Only Look at Me left standing for Snow Tsunami, and I don't see him living for that much longer. Vanguard keeps Palmatoro alive. Mowgli, the only thing that he needs to do right now is zone out Look at Me. Look at Me is going to go down as well. The Kraken whacking away on the base. We're going to see a Game 3 blind pick, and Team Secret, Mowgli going nuts in his chair. Man, I cannot wait to see the compositions that these guys bring out moving forwards.
Team Secret are able to bring it back in Game 2 with what was a very clean game. The only team fight that they really lost was right at the end there, and Mowgli was even able to successfully clean up that fight overall. So really impressive stuff from Team Secret. They said at the end of Game 1 that they got a bad draft. They didn't really know how to execute that composition, and you can see the difference in their play when they finally get the draft that they wanted. That Crystal Power Arden paired up with the Weapon Power Kestrel. Once again, Team Secret bringing out another special strat.
This is one of the things I love about Vainglory, dude. Every single hero, you can just play it in a plethora of ways. Arden, you see him roam, you see him Weapon Power, sometimes you see him Crystal Power. I mean, that's all the options available to you, basically. So very well played by Team Secret, very innovative. Moving forward into Game 3 in the blind pick, I've mentioned it a few times up until this point, but they also have the potential to just go back to something standard, and I actually think that would be more surprising.
We may very well see the Soul push comp once again. We'll have to see, as we are going to be jumping into Game 3 relatively soon.
All right, well, to walk us through that last one and talk about what we might see in the blind pick, let's throw it back to our analyst, Playoff Beard. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Action Jackson. I do want to see in the chat on Twitter, hashtag Rome is wrong. If you believe in the Autumn champions, if you believe in our current European champions, Team Secret, think that they will bring it home in Game 3. Let's take a look at the items right away, because Rome, some very interesting decisions here. We obviously saw the Aftershock on the Arden is not standard, but there's been some buzz around about that. And then on the other side, we had a Crystal Fortress finally, kind of NA-style Crystal Fortress with a Rome Black Feather. One thing worked, the other didn't.
Yeah, just looking at the Snow Tsunami side first, they switched things around and actually put that Black Feather on the roam with the Fortress on the Crystal Carry instead. And I don't think this worked out too well for them. They didn't really have a strong engage. And this was all pretty much going down to Kavalavar, who did an excellent job in terms of making sure that his camo was always up every time they tried to dive very deep. But then again, like the composition out of the Team Secret side, it's very unparticular. We do see that Catherine playing that very strong role in terms of making sure that she's always getting that stun up for everybody that does dive onto this Kestrel. And Team Secret did an excellent job. With Kestrel, there is a standard build, and grabbing that Sorrow Blade, grabbing that Tyrant's Monocle, she did so much damage in that backline. And as long as no one was able to actually get deep into her, making sure that they're able to delete her out of that picture, she just kept shooting those glimmer shots away, and the Snow Tsunami team took too much damage.
Yeah, 2 aftershocks there, all the proc damage, that along with the Tyrant's Monocle crits coming out of Kestrel, that is scary. And Xingyi, such a decisive performance, such confident play. This is the Autumn Champions we expected to see.
Yeah, it was a much more, improved game from the first one. We saw them kind of just losing their cool a little bit. Cracks were beginning to show. This time we saw them playing a much more steady game. They kind of just slowly just taking control of the game. They'll take a turret one by one. They knew when to pull back. They knew it was foolish to stay too long. And I think it's looking really good for them in the blind pick.
And as we heard, they felt they got a bad draft out of that first one, and then obviously got what they wanted in the second one. Now we go to a blind pick, and they can get anything they want.
Well, I think a lot of people will be thinking they will be doing the Saw push comp. I don't think they will this time. I think if anyone's going to be prepared for it, it's going to be Snow Tsunami. So I'm not sure if they're going to try something new. If they're going to try something similar. We're going to be seeing like a Scar from Kavalavar. He's very strong on that hero. So we don't really know.
Yeah, we don't know. But one thing we do know is that they don't need a comp like that to win, right? They don't need to have, a specialized comp like the Saw push comp. They can win heads up. They can win a mirror match. But Snow Tsunami obviously going to have something to say about that.
Yeah, just looking at the second match, we do see how much drafting process actually comes out of the Team Secret side. They did an excellent job in terms of securing that Kestrel into that last pick. Just because if they had grabbed her a bit early on, I believe that Snow Tsunami would have picked up a Finn, which is an excellent counter towards this composition they had.
All right, so now with it going to a blind pick final decisive match in this series, do you see Team Secret going back to comfort fix? Do we see a Finn in this game and so on?
Then again, we're going to the blind pick best out of 3 match, and they will be going down to the losers bracket, whoever loses this. And it all comes down to those mind games and what kind of compositions you really put your opponents on. But then again, at the beginning, I said this will go to a best out of 3 match, and I do think that Snow Tsunami is going to come out with the win.
He's sticking by it. Hashtag Rome is right or hashtag Rome is wrong, depending on if you think the Pride of Russia, Snow Tsunami, is going to win, or whether Team Secret is going to be able to pull this out in the end. And as Rome mentioned here, this game is determining who will play G2 Kinguin 2 later on today. So this is the last of the winners bracket matches, but this is far from the end of elimination day, because then those teams in the elimination bracket, they have to keep playing until we know who's in the semifinals. They're going to keep playing and playing until it's time. So G2 Kinguin 2 will face the winner of this. Then again in this broadcast, we will have SK Prometheus, who got upset earlier, against G2 Kinguin. What an excellent match that is. I did not expect to see those teams facing each other this early on in the competition, but both those teams are going to have to prepare. I'm told that the blind pick is happening right now. We're not going to show that as to not create any circumstances that could be exploited at all, whether that's audio or anything else. So we're just going to wait for all of the picks to come in. One team has locked in, the other is still discussing, and we're going to wait until all that is in, and then we're going to get into this decisive final game. We know what Rome thinks. What do you think? Who's going to win?
I'm secretly rooting for Team Secret.
Not so secretly now.
It's not secret anymore, but I think they're such a strong team. I love their synergy, and actually when we were talking to the players themselves, there's a really funny moment. Kavalavar was giving this very inspirational speech, and Mowgli just turned and goes, "He's really inspirational, isn't he?" And it's actually true. They've got such drive and such passion for this. I'm just really wanting them to win.
And that does matter. I mean, we saw over on the North America side, Halcyon Hammers, they even have a mental coach for their players. One of these teams is going to need a mental coach after this match. The other's going to be very excited. Let's go to the action with Action Jackson and Vedius.
All right, thank you very much, guys. This is an exciting conclusion to the series with Team Secret and Snow Tsunami both at 1 win in the best of 3. Vedius, we've seen a lot of crazy compositions from these guys. In the final game, though, not so much.
No, it's going to be a wet noodle fight once again. It's a European special versus a European special. This is what we're so used to seeing, and already you can see both PT Lam and Kvalifar going at it up in the lane.
Yeah, they're dealing the same damage to each other.
It's fire v ice, though. We'll finally get the ultimate answer to the question. Who wins, whether it be you setting on fire or, you know, what's the other one? Frostbite, that's the one.
Chilling them.
Chilling them?
Yeah.
Brrr. Now both teams currently doing a bit of shopping. You can see Team Secret have been spotted out by a flare, but the fact that they were able to buy first, that means that they are just going to immediately disengage off the back of that one. So I want to talk about what both teams need to do to win, but it's
it's just the same thing,
It's the same thing, yeah. So what both teams really want to do is kill the Scarf. We'll have to keep a close eye on itemization, because I think the smart thing to do here would have both Krolls build pretty tanky and act as a front line, and then pretty much it's going to be a contest of which front line can kill which Scarf the fastest. And whichever Scarf dies first will be the determiner in who comes out ahead in the game.
I'm inclined to agree with you. I mean, we've seen some pretty crazy plays out of Krolls where they last until the last man standing and are able to turn things around, but I think in this composition, the Scarf is just super critical, especially given that it's a mirror matchup, so gonna be interesting to see which one of these guys can pull ahead. Honestly, I feel like it's such an even matchup.
Oh, really? Do you?
Well, not just in terms of the compositions. I mean, in terms of the actual players that are playing and the teams. You know, both of these guys took a fairly dominant victory over the other earlier on in the series. Either one of them could come out with a win.
Yeah, and both teams are very driven. We have to think Snow Tsunami, they want revenge for all the times that Team Secret have defeated them. Snow Tsunami put so much preparation into this tournament, with the expectation of at least being able to beat Team Secret. And if they're able to beat them here, they will be knocking them down into the loser's bracket, and Snow Tsunami would be guaranteeing themselves a spot in the semi-finals, which is already top 4 in Europe, which is a fantastic achievement to make.
It is, absolutely. But you know, all of these guys looking for not just the top 4 slot, but the top 1 slot. Kvalifar is able to survive that gank coming through from Snow Tsunami, but you can see the pressure already beginning to mount for these guys.
It does seem like Snow Tsunami's battle strategy against Team Secret is to try and shut down Kvalifar. It worked very well for them in Game 1. Game 2, they weren't able to quite get the same level of pressure, so now in Game 3, they're trying to look to replicate what happened in the first of this series.
Yeah, I mean, you saw in the Spotlight interview that we had earlier on, PT Lam saying that Kvalifar is such a terrifying force, and he wasn't sure which one of them was actually the better player. Once you win or lose this series, which is actually a complete mirror matchup, I think you might have an inkling of which one is better.
Yeah, it's one of the great things about having this blind pick final game, because both teams are allowed to pick their most comfortable composition, and so everyone is free to do what they like, and you really get to see what a team is capable of when they're allowed to play what they're most comfortable on. And sometimes you get these mirror matchups, and it's very much about, this is pretty much even Stevens, everything is fair, the team that has the better mechanics is the one that comes out ahead.
I'm just remembering the last time we cast a mirrored composition best of
SK
3
versus G2 in the finals of Europe.
Yeah, and that was literally just constant deja vu. Like, we saw the exact same thing happen for both of the teams.
The big thing about that game was the difference in itemization, and a large part as to why G2 lost that qualifier and lost that series out to SK was because their builds just didn't make much sense, as Kvalifar takes a lot of damage.
Wow, that is a ton of damage, and he's actually going to go down. Snow Tsunami able to pick up first blood in this mirror matchup. Are we going to see the return from Team Secret, though? Doesn't look like it. They are just not in position to capitalize.
So I'm really excited to see Palmatoro on this hyper-engaged Krull, because he is renowned in the European qualifiers for having an insane KDA, in particular on this Krull. He is so courageous, I think is the best word, to just force these fights, and somehow he just survives. And having chatted to Kvalifar and the team about this, I was like, how do you do it, Palmatora? How is it that every time you go in, you never die? And Kvalifar immediately interrupts and says, it's because for some reason they ignore him and they still kill me. And it seems like everybody's goal is just to kill me. So Palmatora always gets this great KDA, but he's like, that's fine because I know that Palmatora can carry in my stead. I know that I can trust him to be that main carry if the team needs it.
And that's exactly, you know, the thing about Team Secret. Everyone talks about them having great synergy. The fact that Kvalifar can just sit back and say, you know, I'm meant to be carrying, but it's cool if Palmatora does it, is actually very impressive from him. I know a lot of players want to be that carry for their team. Now, at the moment, both of these teams have all three members up in the lane. They're really spending a lot of time making sure that what just happened to Kvalifar doesn't happen either again to Kvalifar or to PT Lamb, and I think that's a good plan.
Look at me, just hit level 6.
Oh, and that's going to be from Hell's Heart right onto Kvalifar. Look at the burst damage coming through. They don't find enough stacks of weakness to get a big smite off, though, and Kvalifar is able to get away from it this time. So, not a bad exchange. Team Secret are able to keep their members alive. Palmatora might actually just go for some back camps as a result of those spells being burned. Oh, he's deciding to go back.
Yeah, he identified that Look at Me was returning to his jungle, and he didn't want to take the risk of getting caught out and giving away a kill, and potentially a couple of his own back camps to the side of Tsunami. So it was a smart play, and another smart play was Mowgli sticking around the lane. You identify it, you realize that a lot of the pressure from Tsunami was going towards Kvalifar, and with the reason why Kvalifar was able to escape in that situation, it was a great Vanguard. The shield helped so much. Combine that with the slow to Tsunami, as well as the speed boost that he got to escape, resulted in Kvalifar getting away with his life.
Yeah, very well played by Team Secret. It's like you said, I mean, I just think making sure that your scarfs don't fall behind is super important. Already, we're seeing a bit of an edge building up for PT Lamb in that creep score. Obviously, the fact that Kvalifar was sent back to the base because he died earlier is a big reason for that. The kill went the way of Sauciska, though, just not ideal. From Hell's Heart, popped onto him, but the damage just isn't there right now.
Well, he did take a fair chunk, and I just noticed that an Atlas Pauldron has now been picked up for Look at Me, so he's decided to go towards that tanky itemization. He's going to act as that front line that's just going to stick on top of Kvalifar, and his primary damage source is going to be relying on this smite. But speaking of smite, Palmatora, he's going to use that to secure himself the gold mine.
Yeah, and that's a big advantage in this kind of a mirror matchup, because everything else is very even. If you're able to get the gold miner, you know, it's a while before your opponent can actually recuperate that gold that you've picked up for yourself. So, Team Secret doing pretty good here. They're behind in kills, but they're up 300 gold.
Yeah, they certainly are, and that is pretty much the amount of a gold miner. So, very even Stevens between the two teams right now as PT Lamb takes a bit of damage.
Should be safe for now, though. Mowgli doesn't have much follow-up behind him. We're seeing Sauciska pick up a Fountain of Renewal, so lots of strong activatable items already on the side of Snow Tsunami, and that could be key for them in these next upcoming fights. Palmatora hasn't really committed to what he wants to build first yet.
I'm curious. It's really interesting what he's actually going to go for. He has picked up the Piercing Spear, which does provide you with that armor pierce and weapon power, so he has a couple of options with that, and so far from Palmatora, he has gone quite unique with the way he's decided to itemize. And right now, both teams grouping up in the lane. Snow Tsunami looking to get another gank onto Kvalifar.
They are, but I don't know if they're going to be able to find it here. I mean, they're so far back because the lane is shoving in their favor that it's difficult for them to make the gap close.
You know, PT Lamb looking super intense really into this game right now. It's unbelievable how concentrated he is right now. You can see him down in your player cam. Hopefully he'll relax a little bit more as the game progresses, but you know, the game, maybe things are head and shoulders above him.
That was a good one.
Team Secret looking to set up a siege onto the lane right now.
They are. I mean, the thing is, though, they're in a similar position to what Snow Tsunami had just a second ago, which is that because the lane is so shoved, it's hard for them to actually jump onto Tsunami because Tsunami are just under the turret.
Ooh, from Hell's Heart.
He gets blocked, though. PT Lamb is able to get away. Now the return comes through onto Palmatoro. There's the gauntlet as well. Look at the damage. Palmatoro immediately goes down. PT Lamb, he's burning them away with that Dragon's Breath, and a beautiful counter initiation coming through from Snow Tsunami.
So it was a bit of a mistake from Team Secret after missing that from Hell's Heart, failing to actually get the stun down onto PT Lamb and still continuing with that engagement with the assistance of the turret from Snow Tsunami, pretty much set up Team Secret for failure. So they should have disengaged after trying to set up that fight initially, and they might not have lost this gold miner, but Team Secret now need to be very careful.
Yeah, they were trying to put some pressure down onto the turret, maybe deny some of that farm to it, but Tsunami rotated very quickly and were able to address that for the most part. So PT Lamb maintaining his around 10 or 11 CS lead, and Tsunami keeping their kill lead as well. They're in a good spot here. You know, they are behind in gold slightly, but the fights seem to be going their way.
Yeah, but this is just Team Secret being Team Secret. Even though it looks like they're behind, somehow they hold a gold lead. They just do such a great job of keeping up those farm levels. And even though Kvalifar is behind, which is very strange for Kvalifar typically, we still see Palmatoro making up for that with his CS advantage in the jungle. So he has decided to go for that tanky itemization. So we're going to be seeing we're literally going to be seeing mirrored playstyles, both identical item builds, and it is going to be very much a matter of who can kill the Scarf the fastest.
Oh man, I was looking at the builds and I was like, PT Lamb and Kvalifar almost have the same items in the same slots, but their bottom left item is moved over. So
the energy battery, yeah.
They're not doing it right, man.
Not doing it right. Well, either way, both teams right now grouping up in the lane looking for a play.
I don't think either of them are easily going to be able to find one, though, given the fact that all three members from both sides are here. It's dangerous to go for any kind of initiation. Gauntlet just came back off cooldown for Sisiska, though, so they have the same tools to work with if they do decide to pick a fight. Team Secret, I think they realize that they don't want to flip a coin, which is basically what that would be, and they've decided to leave. Kvalifar is able to reflex block and get away from Hell's Heart. So now the onus is on Tsunami, be careful here. Secret does have that edge with regards to cooldowns.
I really like the positioning from Kvalifar in that engage because he realizes so much pressure is going down onto him during the laning phase that he's just going to back up in the lane and be in a position where he could clearly see the Hell's Heart come out from Look at Me so he can reflex block in time. He does now have that unavailable, but it's going to come up so much sooner than that ultimate from Look at Me is.
Palmatoro was sitting up in that top bush. I think he was trying to find from Hell's Heart onto PT Lamb, but PT Lamb and Sasiska both playing it safe back towards their turret. You know, PT Lamb was actually also getting a lot of poke down onto Kvalifar, so it was hard for any kind of engagement to come out there.
It certainly was. Once again, both Snow Tsunami grouping up in the lane, looking to try and set something up onto Kvalifar once again. It is so tricky when you have this mirror matchup to really find the engage that you want, because we have to remember that this is game 3. This is do or die. Winner moves on to the semifinals. Loser gets knocked down into the losers bracket, and they have to play up against G2K2. And there have been lots of talk about G2K2 about being this hidden superstar team as Kvalifar gets in trouble.
Yeah, he is going to take a lot of damage here. He manages to block the gauntlet, but the damage is still there from Snow Tsunami. Very well played by them. Sisiska trying to back away here. Does take a decent chunk as he's tanking up that turret, but even still, Tsunami yet again coming out with the kill. They have not yet died. Very impressive play from these guys.
Look at
Mowgli and Palmatoro. They might want to try and defend this. They're trying to get a fight, but look at me with the smite. Regenerates so much health. It's very difficult for Team Secret to find an opening here.
Yeah, it's Team Secret. They realize that in this mirror matchup, they can't force a fight 2 versus 3. The weakness stacks make it so difficult for Palmatoro to just dive onto the backline, and because he's built so much damage, so much tank, he won't really have the damage to shut down PT Lamb this early on. But it was very well executed from Snow Tsunami. Typically, they are the aggressors in this matchup. They are the ones constantly looking to get these picks. Ooh, as Team Secret has found Sisiska.
They have, but he's so tanky right now, is able to get back to the turret and actually turn down a bit of damage onto Mowgli. PT Lamb's poke is insanely strong at the moment. Very similar poke, in fact, identical poke, coming out of Kvalifar, but he's not really been in the position to use it much.
So we're finally seeing a bit of variation between the two teams. We have the Bone Saw now completed for Palmatoro, whereas Look at Me yet to complete his 3rd major item. Kvalifar has picked up both the Frostburn and the Broken Myth. Very similar, well, identical in fact to PT Lamb. Sasiska has actually completed the Crucible before Mowgli. So that is going to be a very big impact item coming into these team fights, because you can block that gauntlet that comes down from Mowgli in the engages.
Yeah, and that's going to allow for PT Lamb to reposition. That's the key thing there. Having the Crucible as well as a reflex block on PT Lamb means that he can maybe also dodge it from Hell's Heart, which would be big. We've got Team Secret picking up a gold mine, though, and the vision control from Snow Tsunami a little bit lacking there. Given the lead that they had accrued for themselves, I'm kind of surprised they let that one go over for free. And in fact, even with that, Tsunami now leading by 1,000 gold, which is a big difference from earlier on. The Kraken is going to spawn. We could see some pretty crazy fights around that moving forwards.
We certainly could. I think that this early on would be a bit of a risk for both teams. They're still buying time. They're still waiting for these items. Bonesaw now finished for Look At Me. Both of them literally had the same HP. Oh, as I say that, Palmatoro gets an extra 200, and he has now picked himself up a reflex block. So a lot of utility break. Oh, sorry. CC immunity now available for the side of Team Secret, and that's also going to be very big against this gauntlet, against the From Hell's Heart in particular as well, that Snow Tsunami is going to be looking to try and land.
So Look At Me has actually decided to follow the build path of Palmator. He's got for that Bone Saw now. Siska trying to find some kind of engagement. PT Lamb tanking up a bit of poke here. Got to be careful. Going to block through that gauntlet, but he's very far away from the fight. Kavalifar, on the other hand, dealing so much AoE damage. That's going to be from Hell's Heart. Lands onto PT Lamb. He doesn't reflex block it, but Palmator is taking extremely low. He's got to be careful here. He might go down. The first kill of the fight goes to Snow Tsunami, but the return from Kavalifar finds one.
No energy.
Also very low, but Kavalifar is out of energy. It's going to be hard for him to get any more. PT Lamb, he misses a Spitfire. It's so close between these guys. He misses another one. That's going to be enough. Sasiska, he finds the return kill onto Kavalifar, and he is super low. I don't think he's going to be able to get away from this one. It's so close. He's got out.
Oh,
no! The longer attack animation than Mowgli was expecting totally saved Sasiska there.
Oh, wow.
What a fight.
What a fight indeed. Literally exactly the same thing happened on both sides. Palmatora, so you saw the double gauntlet, there was purple everywhere. There was the dragon breath coming down. There was so much baking going on inside those double gauntlets that neither team could really sustain it, so they got rid of those. Then you saw Palmatora being the first to engage onto the backline. He was sticking to PT Lamb. Things were looking good for Team Secret, but then PT Lamb was able to kite out far away enough. Palmatoro no longer had the gap closers, so he started retreating. He was the first one to fall. Then, Look At Me got greedy. He tried to dive onto Kavalifar. He then picks up a kill. And then it's PT Lamb and Kavalifar kiting around each other with no energy, missing all of their skill shots, and then eventually it becomes a slapfest between the two roamers who are unable to kill each other. It's identical team fighting. And because both teams are so talented, it is so difficult to tell which team is actually going to be the one to come out ahead.
All right, we've got our first major divergence of items here. Eve of Harvest picked up for PT Lamb. Aegis completed for Kavalifar.
Right.
That is quite a substantial difference. Speaking of the damage, though, Kavalifar is able to land so much poke on a Look At Me. That has encouraged Team Secret to start off this Kraken. Tsunami.
Sosiska's going back.
This is really not good.
That's going to be a Kraken.
Apparently, just getting poked a little bit is enough to take that one away. So
well
Team Secret,
played.
big pickup for these guys. They're slightly behind in gold. Obviously, they're behind in the kills too. But the Kraken is going to give them so much room to maneuver here.
So look at this, the flare has come out. They want to see where Snow Tsunami are, and a turret hasn't even fallen for Snow Tsunami yet. And here comes the gauntlet.
Mowgli wants to start this fight off right off the bat. PT Lamb is able to kite back through that. The Dragon's Breath doing a decent chunk of damage here from both of the Scarves. Palmatoro might be the first to fall, though. He is going to go down. It's the same as last fight, but will it end the same way? Now Kavalifar being trained onto. He goes down. Mowgli, the last member standing for Team Secret, is going to fall. It's an ace for Snow Tsunami, but they're going to lose 2 turrets off the back of this.
So the biggest thing there was actually the gauntlet that came out from Sasiska, because he was able to land 2 stuns onto Kavalifar and Palmatoro, and because they were stunned up, they ate so much damage from the Dragon's Breath from PT Lamb. That meant that when both teams finally started clashing with each other, Palmatoro was so much lower than Look At Me was, which meant that he was the first to drop. Even though both teams got both their abilities out, PT Lam was just the first one to do it. And because they got that first kill onto Palmatoro, they were able to come out ahead in the team fight. So they lose 2 turrets, but Snow Tsunami are able to kill the Kraken as well as get an ace onto Team Secret.
And even though they lost 2 turrets, they're still 1,000 gold ahead. I mean, that's what you get when you manage to pick up the Kraken and 3 kills. Ends up being worth about the same. Map pressure is the way of Team Secret right now. They have a turret lead. Can they maintain it, though? It's going to be tough, because if there's a straight-up fight, it seems like Snow Tsunami just isn't going to lose it.
So have a look at this. Aegis now finished for PT Lam, as well as the Eve of Harvest. So there's just going to be more damage coming out from PT Lam in these next few engages. And he has actually found Mowgli.
Yeah, doing some nice poke down with the Goop and the Spitfire. Minion Mine had already been started off by Team Secret, but they're not able to secure it. So Tsunami getting themselves a nice advantage here with that one. They're going to be looking to push towards the lane, maybe go for a fight sometime soon. A little bit of damage there. And that, you know, every point of damage you take before a fight in a mirror matchup counts for a lot.
It certainly does. Landing those skill shots is going to be imperative to decide who comes out ahead in these fights. And here we go, Snow Tsunami going for the siege.
Yeah, they're going to start this one off. There's a gauntlet coming down from Mowgli, but it seems very far away. Sasiska is taking a lot of damage, but he's able to jump out of there. And PT Lam running onto the front line, trying to kill Kavalifar first. Palmatoro, still very healthy, is able to get onto the back line, do some harassment, but so far no one has died.
Oh,
Palmatoro,
nice.
Just as I say that, you can see Kavalifar picking up the first kill. PT Lam still very healthy, so's Look At Me. On the flip side, Kavalifar is out of energy. This could be a turnaround for Tsunami. They're trying to run through the remaining members of Team Secret. They want Kavalifar. They just need a little bit more. Palmatoro eats a Spitfire.
Ooh,
fan the flames.
it's
going to be enough. Kavalifar, look at how low he is. That is absolutely ridiculous. He had something in the realms of like 20 health there.
Oh, these fights are just so close. Snow Tsunami were able to just get that return kill onto Palmatoro, so arguably they came out ahead because they also picked up that turret, which means that is going to equalize the turrets between the two teams. But Team Secret put so much emphasis onto shutting down Sasiska, and PT Lam took a surprising amount of damage. Sorry, Kavalifar took a surprising amount of damage from Sasiska that he really wasn't prepared for. But now that he has the Eve of Harvest, it's going to be so much easier for him to kite this out. But you can see how equally matched these teams are and how tense this game is starting to get.
All right, Team Secret, they take the Minion Mine and then back away. They don't realize that the Kraken has already been started by Snow Tsunami. We saw how devastating the push was from Team Secret when they took this earlier. I imagine it's going to be similar this time around. The question is, will Snow Tsunami let the power get to their head, as Team Secret did, and give away a fight? This is just a ridiculous game. It's very deserved of being the third game in the series.
Have a look at the infusions now being picked up. Team Secret realized this, so they're going to go back and they're going to start prepping for what could be the game-ending team fight. We're at 22.5 minutes. This is late game from Vainglory standards. A lot of players are starting to reach that full build point, and this is going to be a very tense fight. Here we go, Snow Tsunami looking to try and win the game right now.
All right, they're going to be moving up the lane. They got the Kraken backing him up. Kavalifar just trying to do damage where he can to it to mitigate the damage that this push is going to do. The question is it going to be enough? You can already see the turret starting to take a decent chunk of damage here. Sasiska pops that scout trap just to make a way for his team to get into the base more safely. Kraken still over half health. Oh, the turret explosion actually taking to about half health. But this is going to be close. Mowgli pops the gauntlet. He's actually just using it to zone things out, I think, for them to kill the Kraken. And that does force Tsunami back.
Yeah.
Very smart usage of the ability.
Very, very smart. I like that a lot. Very unique, something that we're not used to seeing, where Team Secret realize, okay, the Kraken needs to be our focus. We don't need to try and force a fight. As long as we can shut down the Kraken, they're only going to get one turret off the back of that, and we can actually get more gold out of the Kraken than we're going to lose. So very smart stuff coming out from Team Secret, and just great use of the gauntlet.
All right, so we have one more item slot left for both of the Scarf players. What are they going to buy here, right? Because if they make a different build from one another, that could be kind of the key thing in the next fight.
It could very well be, but I'm expecting Shatterglass. Crystal Power all the way. They just need more damage. You're at late game. You just want as much scaling as possible, and pretty much whoever lands the first stun and gets potentially that Dragon's Breath off or the Spitfire, that initial Spitfire is going to be so monumental in this game. I love mirror matchups and I hate them because they're so they're so tense. You can just feel the tension. You can see this right now. He is so involved in this game. It's very similar to Kvalifar. They're just looking so intently, and they're going to pick up the minion miner, so Siska has spotted them out.
He has a very stony gaze, doesn't he?
He does.
All right, so Siska, he's gonna go for that ultimate.
Oh, that's massive, that's huge!
That is very big. Tsunami's still trying to go for the fight, though. I feel like this might be a little bit over-aggressive. Dragon's Breath coming across is gonna zone them away. They're building up a bit of a minion wave, but that's about it. I mean, all 3 ultimates down. We've got 80+ seconds on one of them, the gauntlet from Siska. I guess we're just going to wait around for the next Kraken at this point.
It does seem that way. I don't know if Team Secret have a timer on it. You would imagine that at this level, teams are aware of the death and spawn times of that Kraken, and it's going to be, I want to say it's going to be decided on the Kraken, but I'm not entirely sure if it is. And Team Secret, they're aware of this. They're going for the Kraken.
All right, Tsunami, they do not have ultimates to fight for this objective. That could be absolutely huge. That said, ultimate's not on the side of Team Secret either. Palmatora trying to dive in right onto PT Lamb, but look at this. We've got the same dive happening from Look At Me. Palmatoro is taking way more damage, though. He might go down first here, as PT Lamb is still relatively healthy. This fight is ridiculous. Look at how far we're having to zoom out. I mean, Palmatoro, he's running off towards the enemy base. He finally goes down. Kvalifar just doesn't have the same damage on him. Look at me.
Does he?
He's got the reflex block, though. He's still alive. He's actually might get away. No, he goes down. But Team Secret, they are definitely on the back foot. PT Lamb picks up the second kill. Vedius. Jeez Louise.
This is what I was expecting from the start, though. You have both Krulls diving onto the Scarf. The Scarf is pretty much in a 2 versus 1 with the peel from the Arden. I've completely lost my words because of how crazy this game is, and it's just, so Siska was there first. That was the biggest thing. Arden was providing peel for PT Lamb well before Mowgli was, and because of that, Palmatoro took so much more damage at a higher rate. Yes, Kvalifar was able to get the kill eventually down onto Look At Me, but that allowed enough time for PT Lamb to finally join the fight, and that is what pretty much secured it for them. This is so smart. They're trying to be as efficient as possible with the Kraken. They're waiting for the spawn timer of Look At Me, and they want him to join the team just as he is respawning alongside the Kraken.
All right.
26 minutes.
This could be the game-ending push.
I doubt it.
Don't do that to me. Team Secret, they need to pull something pretty amazing out here. But at the same time, we saw Snow Tsunami kind of jump the gun earlier. And if they do it again, I mean, yeah, we definitely could be waiting for the next Kraken.
Oh, man. Crazy stuff right now. Everybody's pretty much reached full builds. Nobody quite has enough gold yet to buy anything. Kvalifar sitting on 2,300. Ooh. Hang on a second. I thought PT Lamb, no, he's pretty much invested all of his money into boots and infusions right now. Here comes the game-ending push. All right,
but Kvalifar did just buy a Shatter Glass, whereas PT Lamb hasn't spent his money yet. In fact, he doesn't have enough to go for that. Look at the scout traps. I mean, it gets to this point where you just have to do something.
Oh, that's
the gauntlet
fast.
we saw earlier on. Look at me, does get stunned up from Hell's Heart, but here comes the Dragon's Breath. That's going to be doing a lot of damage. PT Lamb wants to turn this one around. He is doing a decent amount, but Palmator is sitting right on top of him. The Kraken needs to be the focus of attention for Team Secret.
Oh, Snow Tsunami doing it.
Enough. I think Tsunami will be able to lock them in here.
They're gonna
win. Got so much more in their back pocket.
Tsunami, they're gonna do
it. Tsunami managed to take the series. It was a very hard-fought battle between these two teams. But man, what a way to finish things up. Tsunami take down the previous champions, Team Secret, and they're going to be moving forward to the semifinals.
Wow, Snow Tsunami get the revenge that they were looking for in a hard-fought battle as well. That was a well-deserved victory. I don't think anyone can question that. That was a 27.5-minute game. That is super late game for Vainglory standards, and that was absolutely crazy. You could see how close so many of the team fights were. One out-of-place reflex block, one slight mispositioning, one bad gauntlet, one missed Spitfire was the determining factor in who would end up winning that fight, and boy, was that a close game.
It really was, and it was a great game as well. I was a little bit disappointed to see the straight-up mirror matchup, typical EU comp, but when it's played to that level, in that way, it's very entertaining to watch, and it's kind of a lesson, I think, to a lot of people who are watching on how to execute on that composition, something I'm sure a lot of people will be trying out after this.
And it was so pleasing for me to see the expression on PT Lamb's face after that game. He just looked so excited after such an intense game. The joy that you could see on his face was just ecstatic. It was a real pleasure to see, and I'm glad I could be here to experience that.
I feel like they should auction off that shirt that's on the box. Anyway, wow, what an incredible series. Guys, we've still got more games coming today, but before we get to those, we're going to send it back to the analyst desk to break down that series.
Thank you very much, guys. What a game. And now we know it will be G2 Kingwin 2 up against Team Secret. The Autumn champions are knocked into the elimination bracket, where also the #1 seed, SK Prometheus, is, and they'll have to face the #3 in G2 esports, that first Kingwin team. So now we're seeing what we expected from Europe, which is these lower seeds coming through, winning these big games, and boy, is Russia proud of Snow Tsunami right now.
Yeah, I just want to cut in real quick. I did say Rebirth of Empire. It said Snow Tsunami in 3.
All right. Hashtag Rome is right.
Thank you.
Hashtag Rome is right.
Just looking at the builds here. Oh, but this last match, I've never seen something so close in live before, and it was intense both ways. Due to the fact that it was a mirror match, and we saw identical builds coming out of both sides. Like something to note really quick was Cavalifar grabbing that tier 3 boots very early, and this actually made a pivotal role in terms of how much damage output was coming out of their end. But the thing that actually came down to this was the infusions used by both teams. I felt that Snow Tsunami did a better job of grabbing those infusions before any major team fights. And although that they lost that first Kraken, they came out with the second one and they played out extremely well.
All right. Really the only item difference in the early game was that piercing spear. Did that make any difference just in terms of so early on? You kind of feel sometimes mirror matches that they'll be decided in the early to mid game because just if someone can get ahead, they can stay ahead. But that was short tense to the end.
Yeah, Look at Me pretty much played a very pivotal role on that crawl, and he opted out to grab a little bit more sustain and grabbing out defensive items that pretty much made the way for PT Lamb to land all those skill shots, and he did an excellent job with that farming up in lane.
All right, that might have been a little hint there as to what's to come, but I will let you decide. Who is your Amazon Coins MVP of this series?
It's going to be Look at Me. And like Rom said, he's absolutely pivotal. In the first game, he did a fantastic job as Glaive. He was repositioning the Kestrel. And then that game, the Cruel was just fantastic.
All right, and with that, let's go to this fine gentleman himself. That is Look at Me with our interviewer, TJ Sams.
Okay, thanks very much, Playoff Beard. I am here with Look at Me from Team Snow Tsunami. Tell me, what is it like to currently beat the EU champions?
Well, you know, it is great, first of all. And second, we expected that it will be the hardest game in our way to the trophy. Yeah, and we wanted to do it because, as I told before, we wanted revenge for first qualifier when we lost.
Okay, so in the first couple of matches, we saw a Kestrel. Were you surprised about that? What were the counterplays you put in place?
Yeah, we saw Kestrel. You know, in second game, we tried to surprise enemies, but they surprised us. And it was like, what did they pick? I think they thought the same about us. So, yeah, surprise versus surprise games, yeah. And
brilliant. That is Look at Me. Thanks very much. See you to Playoff Beard.